Hi, this is Shui with a review of the Adidas D Rose or the Derrick Rose 10, the 10th signature shoe for Derrick Rose, a tragic figure who was triumphant last season, having a 50-point game, and I think he was voted his heroics was voted as one of the finest moments, arguably the finest moment in the NBA season for that year. It's understandable because so many people doubted him. He had so many seasons riddled with injury, sidelined, and injury after another. And during that time, the game has evolved and changed around him, and he's become somewhat of an obsolete player who is a man lost in time or falling behind in time. And just like that, this shoe seems to signify or symbolize that as well. But shockingly, this is not a bad shoe. It's actually a very good shoe. I would say this is even better than the Dawn Issue 1s in some sense and comparable to the Harden 4s. Yes, I said it. The D-Rose 1 homage or some tribute to that can be seen on the upper. This is the kind of pattern you saw in the first Derrick Rose signature, although Derrick Rose wore a different shoe with a little zipper called something to do with spirits and ghosts. I can't remember the name, but anyway, it was a shoe that people thought it was just a Derrick Rose signature. That's how popular Derrick Rose in the early 2010s. This shoe uses some good tech from the past nicely and updates it in some sense. First of all, it fits true to size. If you have really narrow feet, you might want to go down half a size. The toe box is really high up, so you might see a bit of a space unless you have very thick feet or high feet. So that's something you should consider if you have problems with shoes that have a lower toe box that suffocates you. This would be a welcome change or a welcome option for you. The midsole is bounce, and this is actually the better bounce, if not the best bounce you've had since the D Lillard 2s, or maybe even better than D Lillard 2s. The first shoe to feature bounce was the best feeling bounce. Going back to Lillard 2, it felt like a pretty heavy shoe, and it weighed about 420 grams for a size 9, and it felt heavy. This one, it feels a lot lighter than the D Lillard 2s, but it weighs about the same, about 420, 430 grams for a size 9. But the important thing is how it feels. So in terms of how it feels lighter than that. So that's a definite plus. The sprint frame is back. I don't know how much of a legit sprint frame it is because it seems a little bit flimsy than the ones we've seen in previous models like the Crazy Light 3 here. The good aspect of the sprint frame is that instead of having a chunky midsole and outsole that retards your speed or reaction time with a little bump and the forward movement, the speed frame keeps your feet further out than the actual midsole and the outsole. So when you're heel striking, you're actually reaching the ground faster and moving forward, having a faster, quicker first step. So that was the philosophy behind the sprint frame, and I felt it worked. There's a reason why many people love the Crazy Light 3s and other shoes with that sprint frame configuration. And the D Rose 10 has that. Look at how your heel starts here and the cushioning starts right here. So a quicker first step, or some kind of assistance to a quicker first step. That's the concept behind it. So behind this sprint frame. So it's there. It's nicely padded. It's got a little Achilles entrapment little pads here, cushion pods. But the unfortunate side to this design is they have very stiff stitching inside here, right at the tip here. And that really eats into your Achilles heel if you're wearing really low socks or socks that are not really thick. So you probably might want to do something about this, like really, torture it in some sense and make it softer so it won't be chafing you all the time, or try wearing thick braces to try and have a little more abrasion to wear this down to a place where it won't be protruding and poking you every time you play. Or if you want to get really drastic, you might want to like cut this out and put another layer of cloth on top using fabric adhesive or something. There are various options to consider, but the fact that you have to consider these alteration or customization means this is not a very great shoe. So that's a fatal flaw you have there. It's not exactly super breathable, but it's not suffocating. These holes are meaningless. The lace loops, they could have come down a little bit further to provide a more tighter, firmer lockdown. Personally, I'm gonna poke a few holes and add a few laces so that I can have a better lockdown, because I feel my toes wriggling and moving around when I'm actually playing in these shoes. So those are the downsides. The traction it's great. If you like the Dawn issue 1 had a better traction than the other 2019 Adidas basketball models, and this is way better than Dawn issue 1. This circular pivot point radiation pattern with this angle herringbone pattern works better than just a copy and pasted homogeneous herringbone pattern that they've had in most Adidas models that failed to provide good traction. So yeah, that's a definite plus there. The base is always wide for Adidas to serve as somewhat of an anti-inversion support. It works as the midsole itself and the outsole works as a thick outrigger, but because the bounce is so soft, right? Because the bounce is so soft, you might feel yourself, bucking a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, but not too much. But you wish you would have had something more firmer here on the side to act as an outrigger. So even though they do provide good support, they could have done a better job there. The price point is one thing that is fascinating with Adidas. When they first come out, they come up with a ridiculous retail price, and give it a couple of months and they go down by 30 or 40% in a flash. So if you can find a good deal online, I think this is a shoe worth getting for encore performance. This is, again, I mentioned the bounce here, used here, is comparable to the D. Lillard 2s, and everybody knows how that actually set the standard, and few other bounce midsole cushioned basketball shoes could compare to D. Lillard 2s. Even the latest Dawn issue ones, the bounce seemed a little bit too slim or firm. This is nice. It's a very plush ride. It feels like a bounce that's closer to a cloud foam, but at the same time, it does not affect your quickness or movement or your responsiveness. So this is nice midsole, nice cushion, and the insole they comes with the shoe. It's just plain EVA, but it's a little bit more substantial than the typical ones that we've seen up until the Dawn issue ones. It's not that super thick, but it's not paper thin either. It goes well with this bounce setup for the D Rose hands. The sprint frame does not come all the way up to the forefoot and provides a very uncomfortable pinching sensation on these pivot points where you'll be putting a lot of pressure as you're balling. And the swivel board itself is pretty thick, and the insole works well with a very soft bounce cushioning as well. So yeah, overall, surprisingly, not a bad option there. Not a bad shoe, and the price is constantly going down. I guess there will be releasing more colorways. I hope D Rose is able to keep up what he showed last season. I don't know how things are going to work for him in Detroit, but I'm sure he's got a good couple more seasons to prove that he can change his game a little bit and, maybe not become the MVP caliber D Rose, but a player that can make a difference.